Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. We have a great show for you today, all the way from Sweden. First on the docket, disturbing details coming out in the Kohberger case now that the gag order's been lifted. More teacher on student crime. The Delphi convicted murderer has been moved to Oklahoma. What have I told you about hiring a hitman? There are no hitmen. This day in legal history, our legal quote of the day, and our dumb criminal of the day. Let's talk about it.
All right, lawyer.
Good day, everyone. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. Thanks for joining us. You know the drill. Subscribe if you haven't, like if you do. Leave me a comment below and hit that little bell for notifications of when we go live or put up new content. And yes, you can check us out anytime on any of your favorite podcasting apps. As I noted, we are in Sweden still, week 2 in Sweden. And I don't know, we'll be home by the end of the week, but we'll be bringing you shows as we progress. We're leaving tomorrow from where we are currently now, and we are going up to Stockholm for several days. Let's go ahead and get to the docket. Before we do that, let me remind you to go to crimetalksearch.com and sign up for that background subscription service today. When you do, you can do as many background searches on anyone in the United States as you desire, and you're going to get all types of information. You're going to find out their social media presence, their email that they have under their name. You may be curious and find that they have lots of emails that they don't tell you about. You're going to find out their social media presence. You're going to find out if they have criminal histories. You're going to find out if they're married. Are they divorced? Are they on a sex offender registry? Yes, everything you want to know about somebody, please go to crimetalksearch.com. You're going to be happy you did. Heck, it could even save your life. All right, let's go ahead and open the record and begin for July 21st, 2025. And first on the docket, more disturbing details. Bryan Kohberger, victim's father, reveals some disturbing new details ahead of sentencing. So on July 18th, Steve Goncalves, father of slain University of Idaho student Kaylee Goncalves, shared some harrowing new details about his daughter's final moments in an interview with News Nation. He disclosed that Kaylee, one of the 4 victims brutally murdered by Bryan Kohberger in November of 2022, suffered injuries suggesting her killer attempted to silence her during the attack. Now, according to the Latah County coroner, Kathy Mabbitt, Kaylee's wounds indicated an effort to gag her while she was stabbed to death. These revelations come as the Goncalves family prepares to deliver victim impact statements at Kohberger sentencing, which is set for July 23rd. Now, for those who aren't familiar with the case, Kohberger, a former criminology PhD student, confessed to the murders of Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin on July 2nd of 2025 as part of a plea bargain to avoid the death penalty. He will, however, receive 4 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole for the murders and a 10-year sentence for burglary on top of those consecutive life sentences, with no right to ask for any type of an appeal. But of course, unless the court gave an illegal sentence, which the court isn't because its hands are tied as it relates to what can be done, that would be the only thing you could appeal anyway. And an illegal sentence can be corrected at any time. You don't have to appeal. So don't worry about it. He's not going to be able to appeal. We talked about this on Friday's show last week. Don't worry about it. He's not going to appeal anything. I promise you that. So the plea deal, which canceled a trial which was set to begin in early August, has sparked outrage among some victims' family, particularly the Goncalves, who feel excluded from the process and quite frustrated by the ongoing secrecy surrounding this case. I agree. So Steve Goncalves expressed deep frustration over the lack of transparency, noting that the family has been denied critical details about the murders, such as the number of times that Kaylee was stabbed or whether she was choked. He emphasized the need for these facts to craft meaningful victim impact statements, stating, "We're writing our victim impact statements and we don't even know what the impact, as they hid the impact from all of us." Now, the family's anger has only intensified when the gag order in place since early in this case was lifted on July 17th, but the court refused to unseal all the records, citing the need for a thorough review post-sentencing. Now, these murders occurred in the early hours of November 13th of 2022 when Kohberger broke into the student's rental home there in Moscow, Idaho, and stabbed the four victims. Evidence suggests that he planned the attack, purchasing a K-bar knife months earlier and frequently visiting the area, and his phone is actually pinged near the victim's home some 23 times between July and November of 2022. Now, while Kohberger left a knife sheath with his DNA at the scene, leading to his arrest, his motives remain undisclosed, and no known connection to the victims has been established. So let me tell you what I'm thinking about this. Unveiling the full details of this heinous crime, like the Idaho murders, is critical not only for the victims' families, but also for society's broader understanding of evil and the consciousness behind such acts. Transparency in cases of this magnitude serve multiple purposes. First, it honors the victims by ensuring their stories are told accurately and completely, allowing families like the Goncalves to process their grief and advocate effectiveness in court, and withholding details, as Steve Goncalves has noted, risks protecting the perpetrator and denying closure to those most affected. But here, understanding the specifics of such crimes, motives, methods, and psychology profiles of this perpetrator enables criminalists, psychologists, and law enforcement to better comprehend the nature of the violent behavior. Now, Kohberger, a criminology student with knowledge of crime scene analysis, presents a unique case study, right? His actions suggest a calculated approach, yet the absence of a clear motive leaves a gap in understanding why such atrocities occur. Now, public access to these details can inform preventative measures, improve profiling techniques, and enhance community safety protocols. And once again, transparency fosters public trust in the judicial system. The secrecy surrounding Kohberger's case, including the prolonged gag order and sealed records, has done nothing but fuel frustration and skepticism among the victim's family and the public. By openly addressing the ugliness of these crimes, as Steve Goncalves has urged, society can confront the reality of evil, destigmatizing discussions about the violent crime and encouraging collective efforts to prevent future tragedies. Only through a full reckoning with the facts can we hope to understand the consciousness behind such acts and the work toward a safer, more informed world when it comes to legal affairs. Now, the president has actually chimed in as it relates to this case, saying that somehow the judge should require Kohberger to give kind of his statement in allocution, which he doesn't have to make, but he could. And he gets kind of the last word, but he's not required to say anything at sentencing. My guess is he's pretty much a coward, and I don't think he'll say a word. I don't think he's going to say he's sorry. I don't think he's going to give a motive at all. I think this is part of his little cat and mouse game that we are seeing. All right. But here's the important thing, and this has been my frustration, is you can seat a jury. Just because a jury knows about the case doesn't mean that they can't be fair and impartial on the case. They just have to be able to set those matters aside, what they know about it, and make their decision based upon the evidence that's presented in court or the lack of evidence. But when we're talking about a case that involves the death penalty, the ultimate punishment, the public should know, right? If 4 murders by brutally stabbing somebody isn't enough to warrant the death penalty, then what is? All right. And on top of that, if he in fact went in there and butchered, as we often suspect that he did, these 4 people, as he stabbed them repeatedly, but we don't know all those facts, maybe that should have required the death penalty. Maybe the prosecutor made the wrong decision by not going after the death penalty. Maybe if it wasn't as bad as we suspect, maybe there's a possibility that the prosecutor made the right call and made the appropriate plea deal to take the death penalty off the table. We've talked about this. This prosecutor's never prosecuted a case that has gone to a death penalty. I think one, I take that back, where it was ultimately, I think, reversed on appeal. So the people need to know. The people need to understand the seriousness, the heinousness, and if pure evil exists, then yes, it may require the ultimate punishment. The only way we can do that is if we get to the facts. So I appreciate the courts trying to be all touchy-feely and respect people. I get that. But we're adults. And people that want to know what's going on in their world should be allowed to have this information. And if you don't want to look at it, You don't have to. But the world is an ugly place, ladies and gentlemen. It is an ugly place. And the only thing that is truly shocking is the terrible things that other human beings can do to others. When you realize how mean and cruel and disgusting other human beings can be to another, that's when you realize that maybe, just maybe, there's some people that require the ultimate punishment. Next on the docket, more teacher on student crime. Yes. Oh, what in the holy chalkboard is going on with teachers these days? Sarah Huggins Logan, a 35-year-old married mom of two, teaching at the North River Christian Academy in Alabama, has been nabbed for allegedly getting a little too personal with a female student. Now, this isn't a plot twist from a bad soap opera. It's real life, and it's got everyone clutching their pearls. On July 16th, the student's parents reportedly sniffed out this sordid affair and sounded the alarm to the school police. The Tuscaloosa County Sheriff's Violent Crime Unit swooped in faster than you can say detention, launching an investigation after interviews and some damning other evidence. Logan's now facing charges of a school employee engaging in a sex act. Yikes, ick. Talk about failing the moral pop quiz. And the sheriff's office is sweating bullets, worried there might be more victims out there. And of course, the school is trying to keep its halo intact, says it's cooperating fully with the authorities and praying hard for everyone involved because apparently this mess is heart-rending and tough all around. No kidding. Seriously. What's up with educators crossing the lines like this should be drawn in permanent marker. Is it the cafeteria food driving them wild, or are we missing a bigger plot twist here? I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. I know it seems like every day, more teachers, more teachers. What is going on? Next, the Delphi murderer, Richard Allen. Guess what? He's going on a road trip. That's right. Mr. Allen was transferred from the Pendleton Correctional Facility in Madison County, Indiana, to the Lexington Assessment and Reception Center in Cleveland County, Oklahoma. Still unclear why he was transferred, although, Allen was sentenced to 130 years in prison last December for the murders of Libby German and Abby Williams. They were both found dead near the Monon High Bridge Trail in February of 2017. Now, this happens quite frequently when there is a high-profile defendant, convicted killer. They're often sent to different locations for their own safety. And my guess is that is what has taken place. Lots of times states have agreements with other states to house their prisoners, or they swap other prisoners in exchange for housing them at these facilities to basically have this protection in place for these defendants. Because remember, once they're in custody, they kind of have a duty to protect the defendant, Mr. Allen in this particular case. Next, what do I always say about when you're going to hire a hitman? Remember, there are no real hitmen, ladies and gentlemen. There's only police. All right. So a Florida man, wild hitman hire. Spoiler alert, it's just the cops. How often do we hear about this as well, ladies and gentlemen? I keep telling you, if you're looking for a hitman, don't. There are no hitmen, okay? There are no hitmen. You have to just trust me. You're hiring a cop and you're going to go to prison. All right. So listen up, folks. If you're ever tempted to hire a hitman, here's a hot tip. There are no hitmen, only police waiting to slap cuffs on you. Just ask Anthony Brillante, a 36-year-old Florida man who's now nursing a federal conviction after trying to order a murder spree like it was takeout food. This guy thought he could eliminate a federal prosecutor, an FBI agent, and 5 family members tied to his cyber harassment case. Bold move, buddy. But guess what? It didn't end well. According to the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Florida, Brillante was already in hot water for cyber harassment. So between 2021 and 2022, he allegedly turned into a one-man robocall nightmare, spoofing hundreds of phone numbers to bombard his cousin, her neighbor, their 12-year-old daughter in New York with tens of thousands of calls and texts. We're talking unhinged threats to shoot them in the face and mow them down with a car. He didn't stop there. Another cousin and her husband in Texas got the same unhinged treatment. All this while he was chilling as a student at the Florida International University. Guess that's kind of multitasking. Anyway, forward to August of 2022, Brillante gets arrested. But does he chill? No. By October of 2023, he allegedly is dropping $40,000 to hire a hitman to take out the prosecutor, the FBI, and the family he had been tormenting. Guess what? That hitman? Yeah, probably a cop sipping coffee and taking notes. Last week, a federal jury handed him a big, fat, guilty verdict for his murderous side quest. Moral of the story, if you're plotting a hit, the only thing getting whacked is your freedom. Stick to binge watching crime dramas instead of Florida Man. Next on the docket, this day in legal history. On July 21st, 1861, the first Battle of Bull Run marked the start of the Civil War, leading to legal actions addressing desertion, prisoner exchanges, and martial law enforcement. July 21st, 1925, John T. Scopes was found guilty of violating Tennessee's Butler Act, concluding the famed monkey trial. July 21st, 1962, Robinson v. California. The Supreme Court ruled that addiction cannot be criminalized under the Eighth Amendment. Now, just remember, if you commit crime to fuel your addiction, that can still be punished. Just take a moment to think about that. And July 1st, 1991, Milwaukee police escalated their investigation into Jeffrey Dahmer, leading to his arrest on July 22nd, highlighting challenges in prosecuting a serial killer with insanity defenses. Next on the docket, our legal quote of the day. Addiction is not a crime. Addiction is not a mark of moral failure. It's a health issue. That comes from Jane Pillpot. But like I said, if your addiction forces you to rob somebody, steal their car, break into their house, you can be prosecuted for that, but not being addicted in and of itself. It can be a crime. Remember that. All right, next on the docket, our dumb criminal of the day. A motorcycle maverick thinks he's Titanic's top dog. So hold on to your handlebars, folks, because we've got a real winner for today's dumb criminal of the day. Please meet Damon Henkins, a 34-year-old speed demon who decided to channel his inner Leonardo DiCaprio on Florida's highway. Picture this, our boy Damon zipping along US 19 at a cool 105 miles per hour, nearly double the 55 mile an hour speed limit on his Kawasaki Ninja ZX6R. Arms flung wide like he's yelling, "I'm the king of the world," from the bow of the Titanic. But guess what? The only thing sinking was his common sense. That's right. The Peneus Park's finest, a guy by the name of Corporal Jacob Rolston, wasn't exactly swooning over Damon's cinematic stunt. Spotting this hands-free hero weaving through traffic, the deputy clocked him at excessive and dangerous speeds and promptly slapped cuffs on this wannabe movie star. Now, Damon was hit with 2 misdemeanor charges and spent a breezy 6 hours in the county clink before copying up $300 to get himself released. Now, this isn't Damon's first rodeo either. Our reckless rider's rap sheet includes citations for driving an unregistered vehicle and letting his registration expire. Guess paperwork isn't as thrilling as white lining through traffic. Oh, and his Instagram. It's a love letter to his bike, complete with videos of him dodging cars like he's auditioning for Fast and Furious, and a post gushing about giving his Ninja a bath and a new widescreen. In love with his bike, he swooned. Too bad the feeling's not mutual, Damon. Your Ninja can't bail you out of jail. So here's a tip, champ. Save the Titanic poses for the karaoke bar and keep your hands on the handlebars. The only thing you're king of now is your dumb criminal leaderboard. Congratulations, you made it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have for you once again from Sweden, but we'll be back in the Crime Talk studios next week. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. And remember, the Constitution matters.